Welcome to the deep dive. We're here to cut through all that noise, the constant flood of information, and give you the stuff that really matters, the actionable insights. Life's moving fast, we get it. So we're looking for those smart shortcuts, those moments that make you feel genuinely informed quickly. Today, we're jumping into something huge. It's not just news, it's reshaping how we learn and teach. We're talking about generative AI and its, profound impact on higher education. And this isn't just theory. We're digging into a key source, AI in Higher Education 7725.pdf, for some real practical wisdom.
Exactly. And our goal today for you is pretty simple. We want to boil it all down to what's genuinely important, what you can actually use. So whether you're just curious about the future, or you're an educator trying to figure out these new tools, or maybe a professional adapting to change.
Yeah.
This is for you. The source makes it super clear, actually. Integrating AI, it's not really optional anymore for universities and colleges. It's basically become essential for staying relevant.
Wow, okay. That definitely sets an urgent tone, doesn't it? All right, let's dig in. Hashtag the deep dive. So right off the bat, the book lays down this fundamental idea, almost like a warning. It says, if you do not use it, you risk losing relevance. That's pretty direct, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely.
It really suggests this isn't just, another tech fad that'll blow over. It sounds more like a permanent shift, like an irreversible evolution in higher ed itself.
It really is. The source calls it a historic inflection point. And that term, I think, really captures it. I mean, think about it. AI isn't just for factories or customer service bots anymore. Now it's moving into these cognitive fields we thought were uniquely human, like law, journalism, design, research.
And teaching.
And critically teaching, yes. The big thing here isn't just what AI can do, but how fast it's changing the game for these intellectual jobs.
And that's exactly why this conversation is so crucial for you listening. What I really appreciate about this source, this book, is its faculty-centric approach. That's how it frames it. It doesn't position AI as some kind of threat to fight off.
No, not at all.
Instead, it talks about AI as a dynamic partner, something that can actually enhance professional judgment, creativity, pedagogical impact. It's all about building with AI, right? Not fighting against it.
Precisely. And what's really fascinating, I think, is that the book itself embodies this. It mentions it was written in close collaboration with tools such as ChatGPT. And not just, used for quick edits or something. The AI was engaged like a thoughtful co-creator.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's actually demonstrating the very philosophy it's arguing for. It shows this kind of partnership is real. It's possible right now, even for complex academic work.
Okay, that really makes it concrete.
Yeah.
So this co-creation idea, what does it actually look like day to day? What can these generative AI tools really do for someone in education or even just learning?
Well, the capabilities are pretty broad. We're talking summarization, condensing long articles, translation, obviously, generating new content, rephrasing things, processing different document types, PDFs, Word docs, you name it, and even acting as a kind of academic assistant across different platforms.
It sounds like suddenly having this super efficient research assistant on call 24/7.
It kind of is. But, and this is really important, but the book stresses you have to understand the limitations. These models can hallucinate.
Yeah.
That means they might just make stuff up, but sound really confident about it.
Right. I've heard about that.
Yeah. They can also reflect biases from the data they were trained on. They often struggle with proper academic citations. And their reasoning, it can be shaky on really complex, nuanced arguments, which is why the book repeats, critical human oversight is essential. It's a partner, like you said, not a substitute for your own thinking.
Exactly. So given those limitations, how do we actually use them smartly? What are the strategies?
Okay, so the source offers some really practical tips. One key thing is managing AI conversations. Basically, if you're working on a bigger project, it helps to start new chat threads for different topics. Or, keep using the same chat so the AI remembers the context, like you're having an ongoing discussion.
So it maintains the thread.
Exactly. It helps preserve context. And you can even get more organized, like break down big projects into specific chats for each part. And maybe keep notes of your best prompts somewhere else, like in a research diary. It's about being intentional.
Makes sense. Be deliberate.
Yeah. And related to that is this idea of prompt portability and cross-platform use. This is quite powerful. Imagine you craft a really good prompt. Let's say design a 10-week undergrad syllabus on the history of digital art.
Yeah.
You can take that exact same prompt and try it in ChatGPT, then maybe Gemini, then Claude.
And see what happens.
And compare the results. See which one gives you a better starting point. Maybe one is stronger on objectives, another on readings. You could iterate, refine. It helps you really optimize the AI for bigger projects by, as the book says, structuring before developing. You leverage the strengths of different tools.
That's smart. And it's amazing how far these tools, like ChatGPT, have come beyond just spitting out text. The book mentions specific features like Canvas, right? For drafting really long pieces.
Yeah, that allows you to work on extensive documents over time, maintaining that crucial context.
And search to find your old conversations, deep research for tackling complex questions that need synthesizing info.
Right, pulling from multiple sources more effectively.
And the one I find fascinating is image upload and analysis. The idea that it can look at handwritten math work or a diagram
Again, text, yeah.
and interpret it. That kind of multimodal ability feels like a real game changer.
It absolutely is. It opens up so many possibilities.
Okay, so let's pivot and bring these tools directly into the classroom environment. How is AI actually changing teaching and learning on the ground? Course design, for instance. The book talks about creating adaptive and personalized learning experiences.
Yes, and we're seeing this already.
Right.
Platforms like Newton, Coursera, they use AI to tailor the learning path to each student's pace and needs. It's moving away from that one-size-fits-all model.
And syllabus design, I imagine that's a big time saver.
Huge. Think about using ChatGPT, like the example in the book, to generate a full syllabus for, say, an Intro to English Lit course. You can quickly outline learning objectives, weekly topics, assessment ideas, even draft a reading list in APA style.
Wow.
It frees up so much instructor time, right? Time you can then spend on, actual teaching, student interaction, refining the pedagogy.
Yeah, absolutely. It streamlines the whole process, syllabus, lesson plans, even creating content. The book lists a bunch of tools for text generation, obviously ChatGPT, Gemini, but also things like Grammarly, Elicit, Quillbot.
Right, tools for different writing tasks.
And then for visuals, you've got image generators like DALL-E, Midjourney, Stable Diffusion. Making custom illustrations or diagrams suddenly becomes much easier.
And it's not just for humanities or writing courses. This stuff is incredibly useful for quantitative and technical fields, too. There's a great example in the book about AI solving a geometry problem from a grid image. What was interesting was the AI initially misread the coordinates from the image.
So it made a mistake.
It did. But then the human instructor pointed out the error, gave the correct coordinates, and the AI immediately recalculated, acknowledged the correction, and explained the right answer. Yeah. It really highlights that collaborative dynamic. The AI is like a thinking partner, but human oversight is absolutely critical for accuracy, especially in technical subjects. It's like a dance.
That human-AI collaboration really does seem to be the core theme, and it's pushing towards what the book calls multimodal, multilingual, and multi-text education. That sounds complex.
It just means using different formats. So AI can help generate audio lectures from text using text-to-speech tools like Balabolka or 11 Labs, or create visual concept maps, or transcribe audio using speech-to-text like Whisper. It helps create materials in multiple formats, making learning more accessible.
And multilingual, too.
Yes, which brings up a really important point about equity and sort of global reach. There's this case study about converting an academic lecture originally given in Hebrew. Using these AI tools, speech-to-text, translation text-to-speech, they created a professional-sounding English audio version.
Without needing a professional translator and voice actor.
Exactly. Dramatically lower effort and cost. It shows the potential to share knowledge much more widely, breaking down language barriers. Makes you think about accessibility.
Definitely. And speaking of different media, the section on generative AI for video is eye-opening. It makes a distinction between traditional AI, like auto-captioning,
Right, things we're kind of used to.
and generative AI, which can actually create original video clips or AI avatars that speak or do those multilingual voiceovers. It mentions platforms like Synthesia, HeyGen, Pictory, even tools like the newer Camtasia integrating AI. It makes video production way more accessible.
It really does. And there's another good case study walking through the process of making an AI-generated video explaining p-values for a stats class. The key takeaway wasn't just efficiency, though. It was how these tools support universal design for learning UDL.
Ah, right. Providing information in multiple ways.
Precisely. Text, audio, visuals. It helps make the content accessible to learners with different needs or preferences. It fosters a much more inclusive classroom, potentially.
Yeah.
Hashtag reimagining assessment and academic integrity in the AI era.
Okay, now we get to a really big one. Something that's causing a lot of anxiety, maybe? Assessment. Generative AI clearly poses a massive challenge to how we normally assess students,
So
right?
it's huge. And the source has an interesting take. It calls it less a cheating crisis and more a crisis of cultural lag,
Yeah.
meaning our assessment methods are kind of stuck in the past while the technology has leaped forward.
Our methods haven't caught up.
Exactly, which reinforces that point.
Yeah.
AI is a complement, not a replacement for educators. It really forces a philosophical shift in assessment. We need to move away from just checking the final product, the essay, the exam answer, and move toward assessing the whole process of learning and engagement, which now includes how students use AI tools responsibly.
And that process might look different in, say, engineering versus history.
Absolutely. The book points out these disciplinary nuances. How AI is used and how you might assess that use will vary a lot between STEM, humanities, social sciences.
So if the old essay or exam is becoming problematic, what kind of assignments work now? The book suggests some really creative ideas, doesn't it? Designed to push thinking beyond what AI can easily do.
Yeah, things like AI critique essays, where students have to analyze an AI's output, find its flaws, its biases, or prompt journals, making students document how they used AI, their prompts, their refinements, their thinking process. Also, collaborative AI reports, reverse engineering tasks, and these richer multimodal projects that AI can't just generate wholesale.
It's about making the process visible and valuable.
Exactly, making the thinking visible. And interestingly, AI might even help with evaluation in some ways. Remember that multimodal example of AI grading handwritten math?
Yeah, tracking the logic, finding errors.
Right. It showed it could do accurate handwriting recognition, follow the steps, spot mistakes, and even provide some initial feedback. Again, not to replace the teacher's final judgment, but maybe to handle some initial checks, freeing up the educator for more meaningful feedback.
Okay, but we can't ignore the ethical side. This is critical. The book brings up algorithmic bias, the AI reflecting societal biases from its data. That's a big concern.
Huge. And data privacy, where does all the student input go? Who sees it? And then there's equity. What about students who don't have access to the fancy paid AI tools? Does that create a new digital divide?
These are major challenges for institutions.
Definitely. Which leads to the question, how should universities and colleges respond? The source really pushes for transparency, everyone being open about how AI is being used, and fostering ethical discernment, teaching students how to think critically about AI use, not just giving them rules. It also mentions understanding behavioral diversity, recognizing the students who use AI differently, some instrumentally, some more exploratory, some reflectively.
And access is key too, right?
Crucial. The book strongly advocates for institutions providing campus-wide access to core AI tools to level the playing field, and really promoting AI literacy everywhere across all subjects.
Ultimately, it sounds like it's about building a certain kind of atmosphere. The book calls it a culture of ethical innovation, moving beyond just, rules and compliance towards shared values and ongoing conversation about this stuff.
That's the goal, yeah. It's a continuous process.
All right, let's shift focus again, this time to academic writing and publishing, another area undergoing big changes. Here, the book talks about the changing landscape of academic authorship. It frames AI not just as a tool, but as a cognitive amplifier.
Yeah, catalyst for scholarly development is another phrase used. It's about augmenting our abilities as researchers and writers.
So how does that work in practice, starting with research?
Well, AI can really help with topic exploration and finding relevant literature. Tools like Elicit, Semantic Scholar, Cite.ai, they go beyond basic keyword searches. And things like the Deep Research Mode and Perplexity Pro or ChatGPT can help ensure scholarly integrity by, say, verifying citations or finding related studies more efficiently.
So it helps build that solid foundation. And then what about actually drafting the text?
It can definitely assist there. Generating initial drafts of abstracts, lit reviews, maybe even methodology sections. There was a comparison study mentioned where ChatGPT did a pretty good job summarizing a complex research paper for a general audience. That clarity is often hard to achieve.
Yeah, academic writing can be dense.
Exactly. And it can help with editing, too, comparing favorably to other tools in some cases. Its support goes right through to the results and discussion sections as well. There's an example using SPSS output for a quantitative study AI, helping to interpret it. And for qualitative research, it can help synthesize themes from coded data into a narrative. But the key, again, is what the book calls that iterative human-AI dialogue. The scholar guides, critiques, refines. The AI responds.
It's not just hitting generate and walking away.
Absolutely not. And it helps with the less glamorous parts, too, preparing manuscripts for submission according to journal guidelines, even drafting responses to those tricky peer reviewer comments.
Oh, that's useful.
Yeah. And even helping disseminate the research afterwards, maybe drafting summaries for social media or a university news site.
Okay, but this brings up that really sticky question. Co-authorship. If AI helps this much, is it an author?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? The source is very clear on this. Ethical practice demands transparency and attribution. It even provides a sample disclosure statement you could adapt, saying how AI was used. But the bottom line, emphasized strongly, is that the human scholar must retain full authorship and accountability. Full stop.
So AI is a tool, a powerful assistant, but never truly a co-author.
That's the position, yes. The human intellect and judgment remain paramount. And finally, for ensuring the quality of academic work, especially long-form work like books, the source introduces a really neat concept: the Book Check GPT suite.
Okay, what's that?
It's basically a set of custom GPTs, each designed for a specific quality control task in the final stages of writing. Think of them like specialized proofreaders. There's one for analyzing redundancy and flow, another for structural and visual consistency, one specifically checks referencing and cross-citations, and another polishes visual formatting and layout.
Wow, like a little AI editing team.
Kind of. They act as intelligent assistants to help catch those errors and inconsistencies that creep in, ensuring that final layer of scholarly rigor and polish before something goes out into the world. Hashtag outro.
Well, as we wrap up this deep dive, it's incredibly clear, isn't it? Generative AI isn't just tinkering around the edges. It's fundamentally transforming pretty much every part of higher education. How courses get designed, how content gets made, how we do research, how we assess learning. It's a massive shift, and we're all living through it right now.
We really are. And the source paints AI ultimately as this catalyst for reimagining learning, inclusion, and scholarly excellence. The challenge and the opportunity is finding that balance, right? How do we innovate responsibly? How do we blend this amazing technology with essential human judgment, creativity, and ethical considerations?
So the final thought we want to leave you with is this. As you navigate this landscape, how can you move beyond just adapting? How can you become someone who actively leads in shaping how these powerful tools are used ethically and effectively, whether it's in your own studies, your teaching, or your professional life down the road? How do you embrace what the source calls this culture of perpetual becoming? This idea that you're a co-creator with these tools, constantly learning and evolving, not just passively consuming what they produce. That really is the big question and the exciting challenge facing all of us.